everybody, Arden the Pirate here, and today we're going to break down the proof of concept number 2 from MetaBuff. And guys, I've got some huge news with a bunch of things, so let's go over that before we really get into this video. Now, check this out. The first one is something I am super excited for, and just throw this window up. Check it out, guys. For the Minions, this is a podcast that me, Mongoose, and Mandy Mall are all doing, and dude, I'm pumped. I'm absolutely pumped. This is going to be awesome. We had some technical difficulties. Hopefully Mongoose recorded it and he gets all that sorted out, so you can go check out our very first podcast, which I'm basically just going to recreate on this video because we just kind of broke down the core POC number 2. We just kind of broke that down all together and got some input from everybody, so that's something to consider. The next one is even the next one is just awesome as well. Check this out, guys. I have made some merch. I know a lot of y'all have asked me to do this for a long time, but I finally did it. And check it out. We've got this really cool Gideon right here, and you can see the shirts are they're 24 bucks or so. We've got this long sleeve. I don't have just a whole ton of colors. Some of them, like the hoodie, goes up to triple XL. But the shirts, besides the lady shirt, the lady shirt goes up to 2XL. But the men's shirts go up to 5XL, or just the, I guess, more unisex shirts. I don't have a whole lot of colors, but guys, if you want to read this right here, all the proceeds for these shirts will go to support MetaBuff. Now, the reason I've chosen MetaBuff to do this is because they're currently, they don't have a means of supporting themselves. We've got, like Predecessor is doing streams and people are donating to them through that way, things like that. MetaBuff has not really launched Kickstarter or anything like that, so I am doing this to help support them. These shirts cost about $14, $12, $13, something like that. That's how much they cost, so I am getting about $10 a shirt, something like that. I don't know the exact figures. If y'all are interested in that, you can get at me on Discord and I'll be happy to discuss everything with you. But again, these shirts, if you're interested in it, awesome Gideon, man. Oh, that's so cool. If you're interested in that and interested in supporting MetaBuff, have at it, man. I'd love for, again, I am doing this because I really want the game to succeed. But let's get right into this video. Let's start breaking this stuff down, everything like that. Now, what I've done in this video is I've kind of cut out all the clips and kind of paired them and arranged them in a certain way, and hopefully it's a little bit easier. But okay, here we are running with Shinbi, Seraph, and Countess, and we are running from mid lane to the solo lane. Check this out, guys. Look at this narrow little hallway. I love these purple flowers. Oh, it looks so good. In that very fast movement speed. Now, this is the first part I want to pause at. Now, this is the solo lane. This flat platform, that's the solo lane. We've got the buff that spawns up here, which we'll talk about the buff a little bit more here in a second. Oh, guys, I had a lot of complaints about not having a hat. I went out and picked up a hat just for this. You're welcome. Here we go. Look good? Yeah, okay, let me take the hat off. But okay, anyways, so yeah, if we look at this right here, actually I can probably rewind just a little bit. If we look at this here, we've got so this is one thing I definitely want to talk about, this kind of purple glow right here. But before that, look, there's no fog wall, guys. 0 fog walls. That's big. That's substantial. And that really shows that, hey, we're going more towards that legacy feel, and we definitely get a lot more of that legacy feel coming up. But look, you've got 2 entrances right here, so 1, 2, let's say kind of dusk and dawn side entrances down here. We've got this huge, I wouldn't really even call this a choke point. This is a huge entrance. You know, the enemy could come this way and you could come this way and not even touch each other. You know, this is a big entrance. No fog walls. You know, I thought that was a very interesting. You can see now we're gonna head up. I did mess this clip up, but we left. You know, we've got this little clip where she's running up this ramp. And check it out. You know, look at all this verticality. You can jump off here. You can jump off here. You can jump off a little bit further ahead. You can, you know, tons of verticality. But here we are back at that other lane, and right now we are in the what I am assuming is solo lane, but one of the lanes. And right here is where the minion or the lane buff is going to spawn in. And yes, guys, there's going to be individual lane buffs. So we'll break that down here in a second, but look, there's that other purple thing. Now look, when this purple thing is up, there is not a minion here. This is a little tinfoil hat-ish thing that I'm thinking of. I've got a couple of them, you know, I'm pretty nerdy, so. But let's go ahead and check this out. Now we're going to jump down, and if you remember, this is where we ran up. We ran up kind of this way right here. Here's that other entrance, and we're going to jump down and follow Countess here. And guys, look at this Countess skin. She just looks so smooth, like it's just a sneaky assassin running. Another, we're going around this pit right here, which I think is the Fangtooth pit. It might be the Prime pit, I'm not exactly sure. But we're running around that and heading back to this kind of mid-area. Now, one thing is this right here. I don't know what this platform is. They don't really indicate it on the breakdown of the map, but there is a platform right there. We can expect something out of that later. And if you look right here, there is also one of these purple little areas, but it looks like you can actually walk through that one. Now, of course, I'm coming from, you know, playing a ton of Smite, where Smite did have a teleporter, where you kill the portal demon, and then it would teleport you to the mid lane. That might be something that's going along the lines here, because yes, you teleport right here. You're right next to Prime. Prime's just right back here. That would make a lot of sense, you know, in that same kind of style as Smite, because the teleporter was right next to Prime and not right next to the Gold Fury, which is probably more like Raptors. But again, you know, tinfoil hat, guys. So let's go ahead, continue on here. Look at these the little statues. Oh. But okay, so this is the map. This is the breakdown of the map, and if we look, the first thing that is really noticeable, whatever, to me is right here. The lanes are their mirror image. These two lanes are an exact mirror image of one another. Again, we'll talk about the buffs here in a second, but they do say they definitely want a 2v2 in a 1v1 lane. And how they're going to discourage us is, or I guess encourage that playstyle, is by having this gold buff right here, and this is going to be a sustain buff. Now, I did talk about this in the podcast, and guys, I really hope y'all check that out. For the minions, awesome. But I think that there needs to be a little bit more to define it as the solo lane or the duo lane. We did talk about that, because if you look here, the distance from this mid inhib to the T1 inhib is about the same distance from the T2 to the T1 on either lane. And again, the lanes are perfect. And if you see that T1 in mid is actually ahead of the T1s in the other lanes, so that means the mid lane is going to be very fast, or they're going to have to balance it some other kind of way. Hopefully we don't have staggered spawns. I think that would probably be a very weird mechanic, but you know, that does give us a little bit to think about. Now, we do have these 6 buffs. If you look, here's one, there's 4 here in mid, and then there's one right here. Now again, this is going to be a gold buff, which if let's go ahead and kind of zoom this ahead. Well, I guess we'll talk about the buffs here in a second, because I do have a little breakdown of that. But right here, we can see we've got 6 jungle camps on each side, and then we've got 2 buff camps in the jungle, and then this Amber Link. And if you remember, I said, hey, it looks like there's about 10 camps on each side. You know, so 20 camps total, and it looks like that's about right. But again, we've got just your standard jungle camps, so you've got 6 of them, and then right here are jungle buffs. Now we have a green buff and a blue buff, but I don't really know what the blue buff is. I would assume the green buff is probably going to be along the lines of what the green buff is in Paragon. And then lastly, we've got these 4 crystal-looking things. Now the crystal-looking things are amber, you know, containers. I'm assuming there's some sort of economy objective. So something like the inhibs. I'm gonna assume they're probably more like an inhib than the amber link, unless we're just gonna have like 4 amber links, which seems kind of weird. But I'm gonna assume there's something along the lines of the the actual harvesters. I'm sorry, it's been a long day, but that's what I'm going to assume. Hopefully they fix a few of the issues that were caused by the original harvesters, because there definitely were some problems there. And you know, I think what we are going to get is going to be a happy balance between the two. Now, here we're going back to the mid lane, and you can see, you know, they're again, I cut the audio out. Guys, if you have not watched this meta buff video, the actual original, I will leave a link in the description, not only to the video, but to MetaBuff's Discord, as well as my own Discord. If you're interested in joining the pirate community or, you know, the MetaBuff community, I highly recommend you go check all those out. But they do talk about the towers. Now, the towers are going to have increased damage for, you know, consecutive hits, which is cool. And they will get stronger as the match goes on, which is also very cool. Now you can see where we've just got this simple breakdown of, you know, what the lanes are, everything like this. And this is the part that we're really wanting to look at, lane buffs. They're on a 4-minute spawn timer, which is quite a, you know, it's double the timer of Paragon. You know, we had the river buffs that spawned every 2 minutes. So it you know, which I'm just gonna stick with Monolith, because I think that's the map variation most people are familiar with. But again, we had the river buffs that spawned in every 2 minutes, as well as the gold buff and the aqua buff that spawned in at 2 minutes. And then, you know, back when we did have the amber link was also every 2 minutes, but it was staggered. You know, 1 minute it was amber link, 1 minute it was the jungle buffs, and so on. It looks like we're going to have a 4-minute spawn time for this, and that's going to add a lot of interesting gameplay, especially with them having a buff for pretty much every lane. You know, everybody gets a buff except the support, in a sense. So I think this is going to add a definite interesting thing, and you know, of course, if you're winning a lane, the buff will help you. If you're losing a lane, the buff will help you. You know, that great concept. And then the duo lane. So check this out, guys. This is kind of, I wanted to talk about this. Increase carries economy gain. You know what that reminds me of? The original gold buff that was in Monolith. You know, we had the gold buff monster with the 2 minions beside him that no one ever picked up because it was incredibly hard to take it out. And by the time you were easily able to take it out, it just almost wasn't even worth picking up. So this is a new, you know, this is bringing back something that failed in Paragon, and we'll see how Core can make it better. I love this. I think the gold buff, you know, when it was just a flat gold rate, that was lazy. This is going, this buff only helps you if you're already doing stuff. You know, if you go pick the gold buff and then go back to base and you know, mess around and rotate in the jungle, hey, you didn't really get advantage out of that. But if you pick the gold buff up and then farm your brains out, hey, boom, you just got a bunch of free gold. You know, that's awesome. I really, really like that. The off lane is going to provide sustain, which that's going to be great as well. And then check this out. We've got the mid lane jungle, or the mid lane buffs. And if you see, there are 4 of them. But just like the river buffs in Monolith, only 2 are going to spawn at a time, and it's going to be a random 2 of the 4. Now, they didn't specify if you'll be able to get like 2 blue buffs or 2 reds or anything like that, but they did say we are going to have a dot damage buff. So like the black buff or the orange buff, you know, not the middle black buff, because remember at the beginning it was tower damage, and then at the end it was like, you know, the vision buff. So the middle black buff and or orange buff will probably have a red buff because, you know, one's basic attack, one's ability damage, and then blue buff. You know, they did say movement speed, but we did have purple. Now on this map, I haven't seen a fog wall or a shadow pool, and if you look here, you don't see a distinction in shadow pools besides these 2 circles, but I think these are going to have some other alternative use. I don't think those are going to be shadow pools because it's just a weird place to put them as well. But like the entrances to the lanes, you're not really seeing that. You know, this is the buff, and then this is that kind of walkway that you come up to. I'm not seeing a shadow buff here, or a shadow pool here. So I'm thinking maybe purple buff might be removed, which I don't have a problem with. You know, purple buff was cool. It was a cool mechanic. It was a fun mechanic, but fun doesn't always mean good gameplay. And I think, you know, at high level, it was guaranteed kills. At low level, it was pretty much almost guaranteed kills as well. But, you know, giving an item, you know, a random chance item to instantly have a death on your team, you know, that's a pretty huge game changer. So, you know, we'll see if that comes back. But, you know, as of right now, I want to say that they probably won't include it. And then, of course, we have the off lane, which is, you know, your solo 1v1 lane. You can see we right here, this is a Warden. Now, if you remember, I was talking about that little purple circle earlier that was right here. I've got kind of another tinfoil hat thing where maybe that's the indicator of what buff is going to spawn. So like if it glows blue, the blue buff is going to spawn type thing. Maybe? Or like that indicator indicates that it's not there. You know, like if it's glowing blue right there, it's, you know, the blue glow is building the minion. You know, who knows? But if you do notice, there are no side minions here. So you're going to just straight up face this minion. That's it. And, you know, that's great. I think that was the problem with the gold buff originally, is you had to face 2 minions as well, and the minions were just as hard to kill as the buff. So, okay, that tiny little clip passed it up a little bit. But if you see here, here's the green buff, guys. Now, the green buff is not a lane buff, it is the jungle buff. And you can see it is accompanied by minions. There's also a raptor right here. So that makes me kind of think that raptors might just be a different type of minion. You know, they're not going to have special mechanics or anything like that. Yeah, or it could just be a placeholder. I'm not exactly sure, but we can definitely see the green buff. And again, the green buff is on the solo lane side, and the blue buff is on the duo lane side. We don't know what the blue buff is, but that's a big difference because the green buff, you know, the green buff was on the duo lane side. You know, it was on your duo side for one side. You know, with the twisted jungle, you know, it was reversed. Now we're having a perfect mirror image. But again, it's on the solo lane side. So I think, you know, jungle buffs are now it's going to be more important to know the countdown, the cooldown timer of those buffs. And it's going to be more about when to pick them up and less about picking them up, you know, picking them up randomly or like, oh, I should go pick up the green buff now. You're going to have that timer, and you're going to be able to develop a strategy with that because, yeah, you might be able to get the blue timer or at a minute in, and then get your green timer at 2 minutes in, and now you've got these staggered buffs that you can constantly pick up. That would be a very, very cool mechanic. We'll have to see if that happens. Now, what I did with these hero clips is I clipped Howie together, you know, all the Howies together, everything like that. But guys, check this out. Look at these 2 platforms. So we've got one more protected platform that's, you know, further back. So you know, you'll be able to shoot distance to the minion wave or whatever. but you're not going to be able to keep them from coming into the inhib. You know, you're safe, but you're not able to defend near as well. And then you have this option of going to the one further up that puts you, you know, you're able to clean those lanes up a little bit better, but you are in more danger because, you know, a Greystone could jump right up there or something along those lines. It's very, very cool. And if you see here in between the two, they make kind of this nice little hallway, you know, this nice little choke point that you go to. You know, that's a very, very cool kind of mechanic. We've got the jungle, and look at these hallways, man. Imagine Crunch just standing, you know, right there, you know, beating people up. You're not going to be able to pass him. Howie and a Steel couldn't stand next to each other in this hallway. You know, it's very cool. We've got these choke points. You're going to have to really choose when to pick your fights. You know, and we're going to head over to this tower. Look at this vertical. I love these purple flowers. I think that just adds, you know, something to the map. And, you know, the foliage. Oh, it looks so good. But one thing I want to talk about with this is, guys, there's no jump pad, right? So if you look right here, it's hard to tell what side of the lane we're on. But I'm going to go ahead and just say we are closer to the dead tree side than not the dead tree side. You know, again, it is a little bit difficult to see if that's mid lane or if that is, you know, another tower. But I would assume that mid lane is, you know, this is the T1 for this side. And if you look, you're kind of protected. You know, you can't just jump off to go to that mid lane because of this wall right here. So this looks like a very good spot to start to gank people. You know, as long as this tower's down, you know, jump down here and start beating people up. You know, because, yeah, it looks like this is the tower, this is the T2, and that's the inhib. So, yeah, it looks... All the jump or drop points is, I believe, what they called them. All the drop points put you in a tower, the lane sections. And so, you know, if that lane is still up, going for those ganks is definitely, you know, it's definitely something you have to worry about. Excuse me, I have to turn invisible wall. So, okay, now we're Kallari. Oh man, I'm so excited about Kallari, and this is a really cool spot right here. Now, if you see, we come to this pit. Now, this is on the opposite side of the Prime pit, and I'll show you how I know that here in a second. But if you look right here, we've got this bridge that ends, and you can see right there. So the bridge just doesn't extend across, but you will be able to access this Raptor pit, or whatever it's going to be called, from both sides of the jungle, which is very, very cool. You know, a mirror match, but look how huge this is too. So once you jump down here, this is the only way in and out, unless you've got somebody that can fly, or, you know, maybe Kallari might be able to, or Chimera can, you know, jump across. I doubt that, though. Kallari might be able to backflip out. Howitzer might be able to ult over. But, you know, I don't think Greystone's going to be able to jump over this wall. I could be wrong, but, you know. And you can see it's huge. Yeah, there's huge teamfight potential over this objective. Now, I'm going to assume this is a placeholder. You know, the 4 minions and a Raptor. I don't think anybody's going to get into a team fight over 4 minions and a Raptor. But, you know, maybe that's a special Raptor. And you can see this is Prime, guys. And again, we've got the same thing here where you can see a bridge is across on the other side. So, again, you're going to be able to access Prime from both sides. And, guys, look at this huge area. Once you're in there, you're in there. You know, if Chimera jumps down there, he's got to fight. You know, he's not going to be able to get out. And I think that's awesome. So we're seeing the kind of containment area of Monolith with the size of Legacy. You know, Legacy was the big hole in the ground. This is that contained area. Huge, huge fan of this. You know, and, you know, it just looks awesome. So here we are, back, or actually, I think Prem might even shoot a single shot. No, not at that clip. So here we are in mid. That this was mid lane, where Chimera just left. You know, we know for a fact that that's mid lane, and you can see him running. This is where that minion, the Warden buff is going to spawn in, and he's running to Prime. And you can see, look, maybe someone could jump through that hole, those holes, maybe. You know, maybe Greystone could leap out of that. But yeah, like, someone like Chimera, you know, you're stuck in here, and you know that's very cool. Running through the jungle here, and you know this bar right here. I think, you know, I was thinking maybe that's some kind of buff that we don't see, but I think what this is the tower. I think we're seeing the tower through the wall right there, and we're just seeing 2 minions. Now, if you remember yesterday, we saw jungle camps with 4 minions in them. So that's either saying 2 of these minions have died, or we've got staggered spawns. Or maybe just each camp has a different amount of minions. I don't know. I definitely think that's something to ponder over. But, you know, it's just another thing that you can notice. This is one of my favorite parts of this entire video. Check out this verticality, guys. Look, he turns. This is not just a straight line, it's a turn. And then you land here, and look, you're on the back side of this tower. So, you know, if you wanted to go for a gank at like 4 minutes in and you want to come this way, you're going to take 2 tower shots. You know, you better have that green buff. You know, I think that's pretty cool. But imagine when, you know, this T1's down and, you know, you've got Twin Blast farming right here. You can jump behind him, man. That's awesome. You know, and you're not coming from the fog wall back here. You're jumping down. I like this aspect a lot. You know, I really love the verticality that they put in this map. You know, you see this ramp coming around. You've got this level. You know, there's 3 different levels just right here. This is amazing. So, okay. Here's Twin Blast, and we see, you know, he's facing off against the tower. The tower is definitely moving, and, you know, I'm sure they're allied towers, and this is just, you know, showing that verticality of the lane. The lane looks amazing. All the foliage, you know, the purple flowers, the red flowers, you know, it just looks good. We've got Twin Blast here shooting at this tower, and you can see he's shooting around the head of, you know, an enemy, so that is something that's possible. I think this is just kind of showing off hit boxes and, you know, mechanics, things like that. Check this out, guys. So this is definitely an ability right here. If you look here, Twin Blast uses something and he starts glowing, right? And if you look, he's shooting his guns a lot faster. But then the red goes away. You know, it lasts for just a little bit of time. I'm thinking, now again, this is super tinfoil hat, but I'm thinking that that's going to take the place of his triple shot, or, you know, whatever it was in the after he got his rework. But coming up, this is huge. This is absolutely huge. Check this out, guys. Look at how high up he just jumped, right? Look at how high up that's jumping from the river to the pedestal in mid lane. Twin Blast could never do that. Twin Blast, his rocket boots were a dash. It wasn't a void. It was, you saw Gideon circle, you dash out of it. You saw a steel ultimate circle, you rocket dash out of it. You didn't dash to, you know, like disengage from a fight or anything like that, or, you know, you weren't jumping up in the air. That was a clear, you know, jump. You know, that was a height jump, and you can see right here 340. They're testing out all the different elevations. He can go up 340. It's hard to tell what that number really means, but that's way higher than he used to be able to do. But the big thing about this is right there. Look at that. He's 1,000 miles in the air. He jumps all the way over to this second platform. That's massive. That is so huge. But then you look right here, he barely dashes. So guys, again, this is a little tinfoil hat. But when he does his, you know, guns crossed and he starts glowing, that seems like it lasts for a different amount of time. So I'm thinking Twin Blast might have some type of fuel mechanic. So if he's got a lot of fuel, he can jump through the sky like a bird, like that. if he has a little bit of fuel, you know, because he just expended most of it, he jumps a little bitty jump like that. It's just an idea, you know, again, it's a little tinfoil hat, but hey, you know, that's what this is, man. I'm so pumped for this game. I want to know everything about it right now. And you can see Twin Blast took a little hit right there, and look at how far he went with that jump. But that's really kind of it, guys. You know, we're running around the map a little bit more. We see just a little bit more of this. You know, here's mid lane, and you can definitely tell by that kind of like glossy, you know, watery pool. Look at this archway. Look at this archway, though. A Rampage that's you know in his ultimate, I don't think it's gonna fit through that. You know, or could you imagine like a Gadget Tesla Dome sticking just perfectly, you know, completely zoning out an area? When was the last time I got to play a zoning hero? You know, play a Smite. You don't get a whole lot of zoning heroes. So I'm super excited about that. You know, and we can see another minion camp there. It looks like there were 3 minions in that one. So, you know, maybe they do come in staggered. You know, we'll definitely have to wait and see. I'm having an absolute blast breaking down these videos. I would have probably spent a little bit more time with this. I've actually recorded it twice now, but I keep breaking my recordings. And then we did that podcast earlier today. And guys, I'm so pumped about the podcast. I cannot wait. I highly recommend y'all going and checking out Mongoose or checking out Mandy Mall. I will leave a link to their channels both in the description. I'll leave a link to the actual Twitch channel so y'all can check that out if y'all want to. You know, I'll leave a link to the Discord, which we're kind of doing. All 3 of us are kind of just taking over the Pirate Crew's Discord. And, you know, that's probably the best way to contact all 3 of us. And then, again, MetaBuff's Discord. I will also leave a link to the original video. Guys, I'm super, super pumped, and I can't wait to see what's next. But as always, I'll see y'all on the next video.